I really think it's just chock full of gold.
Todd Hoffman once bet a kid in his early 20s 100 ounces of gold that he'd lose. He lost. That kid's name was Parker Schnobble, and in 2011, on Discovery's Gold Rush, he was mining his grandfather's backyard operation with a crew that mostly just tolerated him.
Look at here, there's no bedrock here. Look at that, it's still going down.
Today, he controls a $15 million stretch of the Klondike. Todd Hoffman owns a Facebook page and a debt of $750,000 he's been publicly trying to dig his way out of since 2022. They started on the exact same show, Gold Rush, in the exact same dirt. Literally. Same network, same decade, same absurd premise. Put broke men in the Yukon with excavators and see if reality television counts as a business plan. Todd was the one who actually pitched the idea to a production company in the first place. He built the whole myth from scratch, a struggling ex-aviation guy who lost everything in 2008 and turned a camera crew into his last shot at solvency. Parker was 16 years old, a background character handed the keys to a mine because his grandfather's health couldn't take one more season.
Still going down. That's got to be a big gold catcher.
One of them created Gold Rush. The other one just happened to be standing in it.
Am I gonna lose face with Jason? I'm gonna lose face with these guys right here.
So how does the guy who invented the show end up begging his own spin-off to pay off a debt, while the background character now signs royalty deals with publicly traded mining companies? One of these men is still relevant. The other one is a cautionary tale wearing a cowboy hat. Todd Hoffman's origin story starts with a hanger, not a gold pan. Before any of this, he ran an aviation business out of a small airstrip outside Portland, Oregon, steady and boring, right up until it wasn't. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, Hoffman's business went down with it, and he did what every desperate man with no mining experience and a father who once panned for gold in the 80s does. He emailed a production company in London and pitched his own bankruptcy as entertainment. Raw television bit, Discovery bit harder. By December 2010, Todd Hoffman and a handful of unemployed guys from Sandy, Oregon were on television.
You have 3 weeks to get 100 ounces. Then we'll have to pull the plug.
Learning to run an excavator in front of the entire country. 6 men who'd never operated heavy machinery.
To arrive, Todd is running as much pay dirt through his underpowered trommel as he can.
Financed by a network that had, until that point, made its money teaching people how sharks bite. Parker Schnauble's origin story starts on his grandfather's lap. Literally. Parker Russell Schnabel was 5 years old the first time he set foot on the Big Nugget mine in Haines, Alaska, a claim his grandfather John Schnabel bought in 1984. By 16, John's health was failing, and instead of hiring a foreman, he handed the entire operation to his teenage grandson and told him to figure it out. Most 16-year-olds get handed car keys and a curfew. Parker got a fleet of excavators and a payroll. He skipped college, used his own tuition fund to lease ground from veteran miner Tony Beats in the Klondike, and in his first season as an independent operator, pulled out 1,029 ounces of gold. That's not a rookie number. That's a number that broke Todd Hoffman's own single-season record on Todd Hoffman's own show before Parker could legally rent a car.
I can feel all the heat coming off the engine. It's getting pretty warm. I don't know how much more it's going to take.
One man built the stage. The other one walked onto it as a background extra and quietly became the main event. And for a few seasons, nobody, including Discovery, seemed to notice the balance of power had already flipped. The split happened on February 16, 2018, during a live special nobody was prepared for.
With the engine about to blow, Todd has a tough decision to make.
Todd Hoffman sat down on Gold Rush, lived and told the country he was done. 8 seasons, the show he'd built from a cold email, and he was walking away. Years later, he'd explain it to Fox News Digital in terms of family. Damage to his relationship with his son Hunter, a feeling of being pushed over into the corner of our own show. What didn't make that announcement was the scoreboard. That same season, Hoffman had bet Parker Schnabel 100 ounces of gold, real money, over 100 grand, that his crew would outmine him. Hoffman's crew limped to the finish line with 1,600 ounces after a cease and desist order from Colorado nearly shut them down. He had to hand over the gold from his own struggling pile to pay off the kid he'd been rolling his eyes at since 2011. Parker Schnobble, meanwhile, closed out that same season with 6,280 ounces. He didn't announce his departure from anything. He announced a record. For the next 4 years, their stories stopped rhyming entirely. Hoffman disappeared into a strange, semi-public wilderness.
This clay-rich dirt had gold in it. But now, there's nothing.
He recorded a cover of Lynyrd Skynyrd's Simple Man and posted it to Facebook like a man auditioning for a career nobody asked him to have. He floated ideas for his own show, Redemption Gold, then Greenhorn Gold, pitches that went nowhere, to an audience slowly forgetting to check in. And while Todd went quiet, one of his most trusted crew members, Dave Turin, left to launch his own spinoff, Gold Rush, Dave Turin's Lost Mine. Leaving Hoffman's orbit had a way of working out. Parker Schnobble spent those same 4 years compounding what he'd already built. Back in 2016, his grandfather John had died at 96, the man who'd handed him the whole operation. Parker buried him and kept mining that same season. Then he kept building. While Todd was arguing with a Facebook comment section about whether his singing career counted as a comeback, Parker was opening a gift shop, a merchandise line, panning tours, and spin-offs that dragged cameras across 3 continents, once needing an IV drip when altitude sickness hit hard on location. Then in 2022, Hoffman came back.
I'm really glad that I was wrong.
Nah.
You know, this is what dreams are made of.
Discovery gave him Hoffman Family Gold, a spin-off built around a premise so blunt it barely qualifies as subtext. Todd Hoffman, on camera, trying to mine $750,000 in real, itemized debt into oblivion, discussed in press releases like a fundraising telethon with excavators.
That's it, we're shutting you guys down. I couldn't handle a disappointment like that.
His son Hunter came too. So did his father Jack, who announced partway through that this would be his last season, full stop. Parker, that same year, collected an Environmental Stewardship Award from the Yukon government. The next January, his company, Little Flake Mining, signed a production royalty agreement with a publicly traded mining company for exclusive rights to a stretch of claims on Australia Creek. Read that again.
Time.
Hey Chris, let's make that the last bucket. Okay.
A reality TV cast member had become a counterparty a public company was comfortable doing business with. That's not a TV storyline, that's a balance sheet. By 2023, Parker dropped $15 million, actual cash, on a claims block at Dominion Creek, the largest land purchase in the show's history.
Good feeling.
I think we want to double last year. I think we should definitely double that last year.
Todd Hoffman spent that same year explaining to Oregon Live why he'd never go back to Gold Rush, insisting his own spinoff was simply the next rendition. 2 men, same network, same year, one signing 8-figure mining contracts, one defending a debt repayment show to a local newspaper. Todd Hoffman also had a story he told Fox News in 2024, getting chased through Georgetown, Guyana by armed men and throwing $12,000 out the car window to survive it. Even his near-death experiences come with a dollar amount attached. That year, on Facebook, Hoffman admitted something the whole franchise had spent a decade dodging. In Gold Rush, people ask if it's 100% true. No, it isn't. There's an element of drama and spice to connect the dots into a story. The man who built the myth was now publicly confirming it was, at least partly, a myth. In a Facebook post that summer, later deleted, Hoffman claimed Warner Brothers Discovery had simply let his contract expire. No cancellation announcement, no farewell special. Just a man in his 50s telling the internet he was suddenly free.
Investor Jason Otteson has arrived.
Where is everybody?
Weeks before Hoffman Family Gold quietly aired what turned out to be its last known episode on August 9th, 2024. Parker Schnabel spent 2025 dealing with a completely different problem. For the first time in his 15-year career, he missed his season goal. He called it embarrassing to People magazine, admitted he'd spent $250,000 a day filming the following season just to fix it. That's the worst thing that happened to Parker Schnabel that year. Meanwhile, a fabricated story claiming Parker had been sentenced to prison over an environmental case racked up hundreds of thousands of views online before fact-checkers stepped in and debunked it completely. Let that sink in. The internet had to invent a catastrophe for Parker Schnabel because reality wasn't giving them one. That gap, one man drowning in a debt clock, the other one fighting off a fake prison sentence out of sheer boredom.
All we got to do is finish this last bit, dry it, weigh it, you'll have your number.
That doesn't happen by accident. So what's the actual difference here? Because hard work doesn't cut it. Todd Hoffman worked hard. He worked hard for 8 seasons on the original show and 3 more on the spinoff, and he still ended up as the guy whose entire premise is a debt clock. Hard work was never the variable. If hustle paid the bills, Todd Hoffman would own Alaska by now. The real difference is what each man was actually building versus what he thought he was building. Todd Hoffman was building a character. From day one, the pitch to Raw television wasn't watch a mine operate. It was watch a broke man try not to lose everything. And that character needed jeopardy to survive. Todd needed to be almost bankrupt, almost fired, almost losing his family, season after season, because that tension was the entire product. But you can't run a business on a character who needs to be perpetually on the edge of ruin.
$5,000 worth of drilling at the Big Nugget mine. Parker thinks Smith Creek is a bust.
Not once the ruin becomes your actual life. Todd didn't just play a character who was always one bad season from losing everything. He became him, the same myth he'd later admit on Facebook was never fully real. Parker Schnobble was never building a character. He inherited an actual working business at 16 and made every decision like someone who understood the cameras were temporary and the mine wasn't. He reinvested constantly instead of spending on lifestyle, diversifying into merchandise, tours, and eventually royalty contracts with a publicly traded company, revenue streams that exist whether or not Discovery renews a single season. When his own bad year came in 2025, it cost him a missed goal and some bruised pride. When Hoffman's bad years came, they cost him his own show's premise. There's also the age gap nobody talks about, and it cuts the opposite way you'd expect.
$200,000. The Schnabel family dream to mine Smith Creek is over.
Hoffman was already in his 40s when the cameras arrived. Life already set. Schnabel was 16 with nothing set yet, which meant every mistake he made on camera was cheap and every lesson he learned got baked into the business from the ground floor. Reinvent yourself at 16, and nobody's even paying attention yet. Being an established adult with an established identity turned out to be the thing Hoffman could never fully separate from the TV version of himself. And then there's timing, the one variable neither of them controlled. Hoffman left in 2018, right as streaming kept eating into cable's cultural relevance, so his 2022 comeback fought for attention on a shrinking battlefield. Schnabel never left. He compounded year over year while the platform around him evolved, and platform loyalty beats platform quality when you never have to rebuild an audience from zero. Here's the irony. Nobody saw coming in 2010.
Parker has to break the bad news to his beloved grandfather John.
Hello, Parker.
The guy who invented Gold Rush needed the show more than the show needed him. And the guy who almost got cut from season 2 turned out to be the only irreplaceable person in it. Todd Hoffman gave Discovery a format. Parker Schnabel gave it a reason to keep filming for 16 seasons and counting. Does either of them actually deserve where they ended up? Probably not in the clean morality tale way we'd like. Hoffman took the real risk, the real bankruptcy, the real family cost, and got a debt repayment subplot for his trouble. Schnabel inherited a running business at 5 years old and got called a prodigy for not messing it up. Privilege built one empire. Desperation built the other man's cage. Reality television just decided which one made better television, and it wasn't close.
He just keeps pushing it up, pushing it up. And then I dodged one bullet, but I got another one coming right at me.
As of 2026, Todd Hoffman is a free agent, off Discovery's payroll for the first time in over a decade, last known to be shopping a faith-driven mining show to Netflix and Amazon. Jack Hoffman, whose gold panning story started it all, passed away in January 2025. Parker Schnabel is heading into another season with an estimated 80,000 ounces still in the ground at Dominion Creek and a stewardship award from the Yukon government, still the youngest name in the room and somehow still the one with the least to prove. One of them dug up a myth. The other one dug up an actual fortune. Only one of those things survives the winter. Hit subscribe. It's free, unlike whatever Todd Hoffman still owes.